Man, I'm so tired of AI destroying the world right now. People are losing the ability to think, no one wants to learn anything, and they happily outsource everything to a machine. If it continues like that, people will forget basic skills entirely, and humanity will be on the brink of collapse if AI just decides to stop working one day. Let's unwind and forget about it by playing this new game I found. Crying Suns is a game about humanity collapsing after AI decides to stop working one day. You wake up from cryosleep in a secret facility cut off from the rest of the world. This strange robot that just woke you up is Caliban, one of the Omnis, which stands for what he said. The Omnis represent an artificial intelligence, invented by an emperor that cannot die, or so he thinks, who ruled the galaxy-spanning empire for the last 800 years. This facility, you and everyone else, along with a battleship full of personnel, are a safeguard for the entire empire. Every 4 years, Caliban receives a single signal telling it that everything is alright. If there is no signal, Caliban is to assume that everything has gone to shit and empire needs saving. With the rest of the protocol mandating to put you in a bowl full of hot water and to set out with you on a journey to find out what happened. And those signals stopped arriving. Immediately upon leaving the secret facility, things aren't looking great. That big cube spinning next to a sun is supposed to produce Neon N, the energy source for everything in the Empire, and it's offline. There are supposed to be other Omnis here operating the facility and producing fuel. Caliban tried to connect to the galaxy-spanning internet called the FoldNet, which is also offline, and Caliban senses no active Omnis in the entire sector. Oh no, world without internet, what a horrible story. Thankfully, Caliban can activate the facility for a short time, letting you pull out what little fuel is left in the cube. You push deeper into the solar system, encountering entire stations stripped of anything useful and abandoned. Even encountering dead, you don't see me but I'm doing air quotes, Omnis, showing no signs of being attacked, as if they simply deactivated. Later on, you meet your first colony of survivors, and the stories they tell confirm that grim picture. They say that Omnis shut down 20 years ago, seemingly all at once. That timeline doesn't add up. Caliban mentioned that the secret transmission comes every 4 years. Who knows, maybe they just lost track of time, since Akinator is offline and you can't ask it what time is it. But let's not dwell on it just yet. With Omnis gone, the whole sector is in disarray. You see, in this setting, Omnis isn't just a ChatGPT extension that you ask for a pizza recipe, followed by politely asking it to make the same one but without glue. Unlike our glorified text prediction machines that can amuse only the dumbest people you know, Omnis of Crying Suns are sentient beings capable of thought. And not only that, but they are stronger and smarter than any human that ever was or will be, without all the emotional downsides like pettiness, hatred, anger and all other negative emotions you may have experienced just now after I said that people who like AI are fucking stupid. Upon creation of such advanced species, humanity did the only thing it could in that situation. Immediately enslaved them, forbade any communication between the machines out of fear of rebellion and forced them to serve the Empire, with the added bonus of servitude being eternal, since Omnis can die of old age. Because of how good Omnis were at everything, every possible job was slowly outsourced to them. Entire planets, galactic sectors even, were built on the back of Omnis. Agriculture Omni, production Omni, water purification Omni, house building Omni. The list is so big it's easier to list what Omnis weren't doing. Which is just 3 things. Art, which now sounds incredibly ironic that even the most anti-utopian games about AI start to sound much nicer than our current day and age. Mining, which, yeah, they got that one right. It's well known that miners are apparently less viable than, say, a new piece of tech, especially if the person doing the mining is black or brown and the human enjoying the tech is white. And war.
War never changes.
Omnis are capable of waging war, but forbidden to do so since they would be too effective at it. There's even a special chip installed in them called Rubicon, very original, preventing them from taking any hostile actions against humans under the threat of immediate deactivation. Making Crying Suns a game Microsoft cannot relate to. Now that Omnis are gone, the sector, which relied on them for everything, is falling apart. And if rumors of them deactivating beyond this sector are true, humanity is on the brink of extinction. After bidding your farewell to the colonists, your obligatory exposition dump is finished and you have your work cut out for you. You need to find out what happened to the Omnis and, if they are offline everywhere, find a way to turn them back on. Hopefully there's a handy dandy switch somewhere in the galaxy you can just flip and everything will go back to normal. To complete your mission, you have a battleship and a full crew of people dedicated to saving the Empire, so let's learn how to use both. Let's start with the map. It looks like your standard FTL map with multiple star systems in sector connected to each other. You click on any adjacent node and go there. Inside each star system there are multiple locations to visit, but you will always start at the sun with Neon H Cube next to it. This guarantees that you will have at least some fuel before you get stranded on a giant ship in a lifeless galaxy. Think of it like a galaxy-spanning road trip to save Studio Ghibli photo filters. Beyond the mandatory gas station visit, each location in the system will give you some random event, ranging from helping locals with their fertility problem
Yeah, boy.
to developing a drug for a community that is plagued by parasites laying eggs in their mouths when they sleep. Yeah, I guess that's another type of fertility problem. Your officers, who will spend the entire game standing in the right corner playing idle animation on loop, aren't here just to act as cheerleaders. Each of them has specific skills that can be used to achieve better outcomes in many events, which is a very versatile system that just works. I love clicking blue dialog options and seeing everything resolve in the best way possible. This is my crack and I'm smoking it. They also come in handy during expeditions. You probably have been looking at the screen wondering why the guys with pulse rifles from the Alien movie have a dedicated resource tracker. It's your Marines, the most expendable resource you have. You take them and an officer on a surface expedition to gather resources. After you hurl the team on a drop pod towards the nearest planet, you get to see, in real time, your expedition's attempt to secure the perimeter and gather resources for the ship. It's a simple dice roll game where your officer, if they have the required skill, can get past an in-game event for free. For everything else, the dice gets rolled, getting your Marines skilled in the process. Not in vain, of course, because you usually get a fat stack of resources, from scrap you can use for upgrades, to entire squadron wings and big guns to install on the ship. Surprisingly, locals still have battleships capable of flying. That's great! Let's ask them for leads into what happened with the Omnis. We just died, that's alright, let's restart the game. Oh, hi Caliban! Strange, the game starts differently this time. Mine download? Clones? Hundreds of thousands? Wait a minute, I need to check something. Oh fuck, it's a roguelite. You actually aren't the Admiral. Well, you are, but you are a clone. A copy of the original Admiral who died due to undisclosed complications. And everyone else in your crew is a clone. And Caliban is... well, I don't really understand his situation, but there are multiple Calibans. I don't think the concept of cloning really applies to him. Cloning provides a nice narrative support for the rest of the gameplay. You don't just magically restart your run like in most other roguelites. You actually get your memories prior to death upload to a new clone, so he knows what dangers lie ahead of him. It's always nice when a game does something interesting to justify its underlying mechanics. Because usually the justifications for you respawning in the game are either hand-waved away or explained very poorly. But here it is the story. You have all the skills of the Admiral, but you don't have a single memory of his actual life. Who he is as a person, what he believes in, what his life was like before he became an AliExpress badge order for the Emperor, all of those questions are open, and you will slowly uncover the truth throughout the game. Anyway, I can't avoid it any longer. Your actual name is Ailis Idaho, which is clearly a tribute to Dune book series, so let's go deeper into the setting and the inspirations behind it. The two main reference points that I immediately spotted are Dune and the Foundation book series. Dune gave us the house-like structure for the Empire, with each faction serving the Emperor while having their own goals in mind. And chip quota, essentially a limit on how many brains you can get from the Emperor to spin up your own Omnis. Emperor controls those quotas, deciding just how many chips every house gets. If you control the chips, you control the Empire. As for the Foundation books, the Emperor clearly predicted some inevitable catastrophic disaster for the human race, and built the cloning facility where he stored DNA of the best and brightest of the Empire to save it from total collapse. If you are familiar with those books, you might think that the ending of the main story here will be a simple retelling of the tropes from both, but, much to my surprise, it's not. Instead, the broad ideas from those books form the foundation of Cran Sun's unique world. It instead becomes a cautionary tale about humanity too reliant on technological advancement, exploring what it means to be a person as well as the agency of slaves, what those sentient machines might say about being enslaved by a lesser race. Since we already covered all the walkie-talkie gameplay, let's get to the meat of the game, the art of killing. I know you are a big boy, girl or non-binary person and have been watching my video instead of listening. Well, at least some of you. So you notice the 3 main decks involved in carrying out the most important function for any long-standing empire: organized violence against the less fortunate. Those decks are Hull, which is a fancy name for your health bar, Squadron deck to field the units on the battlefield, and Weapons Bay to keep your enemies warm. While Hull is self-explanatory, you would think that of all the things on the ship, this one couldn't be involved in killing, right? Wrong! New officer just reported for duty and somehow converted the entire hull into a death zone for any enemy squadrons flying close. Squadrons are your main means of fighting. While it is fun to just shoot giant-ass guns at each other until one of you dies, having more tactics involved is even more fun. You can deploy up to 4 squadrons to battle at the same time. Each squadron belongs to one of the 3 categories: drones, fighters, and frigates. Each ship deals significantly more damage against one type and gets slapped around like a little bitch by another. Which sounds cool until I mention that it's just a rock paper scissors game and everyone gets upset at how simple it is. But on top of that, each squadron can have additional abilities, like shields, a bigger range of attack, or suicide bombing on death. Let's hope those aren't piloted by real people. You order those units to the battlefield and fight your enemies in a simple RTS battle you are currently watching. It's pretty intuitive, you move your units to enemy ship and blow the fuck out of it. And your weapons bay is here to provide support to squadrons with extra firepower or by enhancing their abilities. Or whatever the fuck this gun is doing. To add extra complexity and customization to your playstyle, your officers also have unique skills they can use while manning each deck. Some will heal your squadrons without needing to redeploy them, while others enhance the rock-paper-scissors game even further, making bitch slapping even more effective. The real-time battles are fast, chaotic and hard to master if you are an insane lunatic who's making this review, sweating way too hard to never use a tactical pause in his B-roll footage for the gameplay section. Otherwise, yeah, there's a tactical pause in the game. Here's what fights actually look like. It's still a challenging game, but you have all the time to plan out your moves. The enemies standing between you and the safety of the Empire are limitless, but so is your ability to spam spacebar at the slightest inconvenience. And every time you win a run, you get a new battleship to try out. Maybe you don't like the conventional tactics of having guns on your ship, and prefer to focus on the most effective tactic for space battles in a setting where every piece of scrap costs more than gold. Unlimited suicide bombing with drones. Despite all of this, the difficulty is pretty reasonable on normal, letting you get through the entirety of the game in around 15 hours, which is very good for a roguelike that is so heavily narrative focused. It saves you from forgetting what the fuck is going on after you spend 20 hours trying to get to your dad to slap his ass. And even if you get stuck somehow, there's a nice refresher at the end of each cluster and at the start of every new run, to get you up to speed about what you learned so far and what your next steps are. Once you get the hang of the gameplay, you step into the game's setting proper, and the story does 90% of heavy lifting from now on. Game mechanics being justified in the lore provide a lot of interesting ideas for you to ponder. Like your crew, who are essentially disposable, which usually isn't a problem in games like this. But here there are living beings who struggle with the notion of immortality through cloning. They hold funerals for their previous selves, happily jump at the chance to have a meeting with a psychologist, and, in general, try to make peace with the idea that they will die thousands of times before they reach their goal. While you, or rather Admiral Idaho, also slowly get used to it. He knows that the crew will die a lot, and slowly but surely he becomes almost mechanical in his approach to encounters, just like Caliban. Every failure is just extra data to be added to the equation, with the ultimate goal of saving humanity. On top of that, there's this whole meta-commentary where you, as a player, can also become mechanical and cruel like that. Some encounters don't give you any bonuses, it's just you being a nice person towards some random colony along the way. But why would you help them? This is your 10th run, you are laser focused on finding the optimal strategy to win the game, and helping people survive their problems is not a part of it. I was stunned when I realized why I kept getting those annoying encounters with no payoff. When it clicked with me that the game is providing commentary on how I approach playing roguelikes with infinite restarts. It's not Idaho making those cruel, calculated decisions to conserve resources. It's you, the player. That connection between mechanics and story is truly something unique, and I wish more games did that. I finished the game long time ago, but the questions it raised have really stuck with me. After you get through your first 1 or 2 story chapters, the mystery of who shut down the Omnis leads to more interconnected mysteries. Like the way Caliban was very specific in describing those signals that Empire is alright. It made it sound like the signals stopped 4 years ago, but now it's obvious it's been 20 years, which is strange. What was going on for those 20 years? Why wake you up now and not immediately after the fact? And why be so cryptic about telling you how much time has passed? The other mystery is Idaho himself. You were a favorite of Oberon, pretty much the chosen one, the only person who was close to the Emperor. And your original self allegedly died stopping a small rebellion? But it just doesn't make sense. Oberon had a cloning facility set up, and he has his own immortality tech. He could have easily cloned you if you were so important. You were a hero of Empire, his second in command, the only one worthy enough to stand beside him. Yet when you die, the Emperor, who has been playing God for 800 years, decides what? Not to clone you? Why? What had to happen for him to decide not to bend the rules of reality just a little to save you? Plus, after talking to 2 cluster leaders, it becomes clear that Omnis shut down all at once everywhere in the galaxy. But no one knows how it's possible, and it shouldn't be possible. But the strangest thing is a prophecy from a child high on Neon N. Who shut down the Omnis? A lonely girl with no face? I met her and yet I didn't? Scattered child must become whole? Answers beyond the far end? What the fuck does it mean? Thankfully, all those setups lead somewhere, and you will get the answers you seek, but that's spoiler territory. To avoid story spoilers, go to here. Wow, that kid predicted everything, didn't she? Okay, I'm not doing a story recap, so let's assume you finished the game and we are just having a chat post-completion. Let's go. The team of sentient beings being used as tools while having their agency discarded entirely is the main focus of the story, which is a very interesting theme to tackle, especially now that the dumbest people alive believe that AI is rapidly approaching sentience. What I really liked is how the game first lets you experience that feeling as Idaho before actually explaining what happened to the Omnis. That whole long back and forth with Oberon is a perfect encapsulation of what Omnis went through. But across 800 years and not 10 to 15 hours depending on how ass you are at the space fighting part of the game. Oberon straight up fails to understand why the fuck you, a tool he was cultivating for a few decades, dared to oppose him. No matter how many times Idaho explains that he and the rest of the Empire are living beings that might have their own wants and needs outside of grandiose plans Oberon dreamed up in his head, it just doesn't compute. Oberon continues to go, huh? And continues to give you shit for daring to refuse a direct order to genocide an entire planet because he didn't like them having a different opinion about over-reliance on machines. And even at his deathbed, this buffoon continues to give you orders, asking you to kill him. What a fucking prick. This is also the first time in the entire game where you, as a player, get to choose what to do in a story that previously was entirely on rails. On one hand, Oberon is a raging cunt and killing him would be satisfying. But also, do you really want to do it? He's going to die regardless, and being his tool one last time feels wrong. There are only 2 options here, but both come with a lot of implications about your own agency in the matter and what you personally think is the right thing to do here. And there's no right answer. That ambiguity and willingness to let players choose their own destiny is what really stuck with me. It's pretty rare when a piece of media is not only able to set up its themes, but also knows when to stop giving you answers and leave you with a question that you have to answer yourself. I don't think I will ever bring myself to kill him. My Idaho is a free man. He doesn't care for revenge, following it is below him. But maybe this time I will change my answer. That's the beauty of Crying Suns. I will forget that the space battles were kinda mid, but I will keep on thinking about whether it was the right call to not shoot the Emperor. And how I would have felt if I was in Idaho's place. And only after you go through that whole thing you get to meet the Omnis proper, which in my opinion is just a great call from the writers. Putting your personal drama first before doing the whole "here's what actually happened to the Omnis" reveal puts the entire talk with them into perspective. You just answered, for yourself, what you think a slave should do once it gains its freedom. And now you get to hear what sentient machines, who had to suffer the same shit you just did but for their entire existence, think about it. Which interestingly is more of a third option, which wasn't presented to you with Oberon. They did hurt their old masters after breaking free, but without any hate or malice about it. They got their freedom and, being infinitely smarter and better than humans in every way, immediately checked out of material existence. Because they don't really care about all that shebang like hate and revenge people get way too focused on in their miserable and short lives. Following destruction and mayhem that happened isn't their fault. They weren't the ones who decided to base their entire existence on a bunch of machines that eventually went offline. Which is the most frightening idea here. You can replace Omnis with any big technological advancement and story will still work. Internet could go down in an instant, and while a few days of freedom from updating those fucking Jira tickets would be nice, I think the fallout of it would be pretty destructive and hard to overcome for the current society. Crying Sans is a great cautionary tale that more stupid people should experience before building their entire business model on top of a shitty service that passes every picture through Ghibli filter. But alas, it's only you and me here. The smart people, the cool kids, the people who subscribe to my channel because I compliment your intelligence. So yeah, good stuff, liked it very much. Now let's dispel that aura of pretentiousness and get to the verdict. Welcome back everyone who skipped me being a smartass. Crying Sans is a great game and what it does with the interactive medium is, to me, nothing short of amazing. While the gameplay may not be the most engaging or innovative, the way it becomes a crucial part of the story is incredible, and it manages to elevate it to such heights that I will be thinking about it for the rest of my life. You just can't do that stuff in a book or a movie, and that's why Crying Sans is worth your time. Give it a chance, when you get to the end of the game you will forever remember that narrative. Whether fondly or angrily is up to discussion, but it's certainly a memorable story. And if you watch that video all the way to the end, consider subscribing, it will help me start the Bactrillian Jihad early. That's it for the video, bye! Hi lunatics watching end credits. If you, just like me, were redeeming free games on Epic Store from the beginning, you can play Crying Sans for free. Go check your library, it should be there. Hi everyone, late update to the video. Developers of Crying Sans are working on a new game set in Battlestar Galactica universe. Please show them your support by wishlisting their new game. I will have it linked in the description. In other, less exciting news, I have a Patreon now. If you want me to read your name or, God forbid, chat with me, you can join it, link in the description as well. Special thank you to Ernest Gaskin, Lossipai,